And today we're looking at lesson 56.
Yes, that's
So
right.
let's go take a look at that right now. Our review for today covers the following. My attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. How can I know who I am when when I see myself as under constant attack? Pain, illness, loss, age, and death seem to threaten me. All my hopes and wishes and plans appear to be at the mercy of a world I cannot control. Yet perfect security and complete fulfillment are my inheritance. I have tried to give my inheritance away in exchange for the world I see. But God has kept my inheritance safe for me. My own real thoughts will teach me what it is.
Above all else, I want to see, recognizing that what I see reflects what I think I am. I realize that vision is my greatest need. The world I see attests to the fearful nature of the self image I have made, yeah. If I would remember who I am, it is essential that I let this image of myself go. As it is replaced by truth, vision will surely be given me. And with this vision, I will look upon the world and on myself with charity and love.
Above all else, I want to see differently. The world I see holds my fearful self image in place and guarantees its continuance. While I see the world as I see it now, truth cannot enter my awareness. I would let the door behind this world be open for me that I may look past it to the world that reflects the love of God.
God is in everything I see, behind every image I have made. The truth remains unchanged. Behind every veil I have drawn across the face of love, its light remains undimmed. Beyond all my insane wishes is my will, united with the will of my Father. God is still everywhere and in everything forever. And we who are part of Him will yet look past all appearances and recognize the truth beyond them all.
God is in everything I see because God is my mind,
Is in
is
my
in my mind. In my own mind, behind all my insane thoughts of separation and attack, is the knowledge that all is one forever. I have not lost the knowledge of who I am because I have forgotten it. It has been kept for me in the mind of God, who has not left his thoughts. And I, who am among them, am one with them and one with him.
So we're continuing on the theme that we were on yesterday uh, of the need to clear our minds of this illusion of world and so that we can see the real world through the eyes of the Holy Spirit, so to speak. And I really love the expression in that last review, God is in my mind. Well, as it turns out, everything's in my mind. The world is in my mind. Um, and so my ideas, thoughts about who I am, yeah, it's all in my mind. God's in my mind. Um, so the whole theater of action is the mind. And it changes our experience completely by changing our mind. We can totally change our experience.
It's like that. We were talking about that movie before. What was the name of it again? Um, but anyway, the idea is that there really is nothing out there because it's all, there's no here and there. It's all mind. We just made the divisions.
Oh, like the expression, there's no there there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing, same idea.
Or what world?
Mhm. Yeah, it's learning to see that if I see anything, it's there in my mind and it's part of me. There's no out there in there.
Yeah. Well, it's such a different experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you realize that it's all in your mind.
Yeah, usually people say that to other people to kind of dismiss what you're seeing as, oh, it's all imaginary. Oh, it's all in your mind.
Like that. That's like that that funny song by Bob Dylan. It's 115th Dream, I think it's called, where he's lying on the couch talking to the shrink, and the shrink says, "Those dreams are all in your head."
Yeah, I don't remember that song. It must be his later song. I followed Bob
Well, it's
Dylan.
on a song that an album that a lot of people, for some reason, have not been, uh, not seen, not listened to. It's called "Bringing It All Back Home."
Is that an early one or a later one?
Well, it's and when you remember when he switched over to electronic music,
Mm-hmm.
and it was on a British tour, so. He had some really great songs that he recorded on that tour, and so the album is called "Bringing It All Back Home" because he's back in the USSR. I mean, hey.
That's another song back in the USSR voice. Is that the Beach Boys?
uh, something like that. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I'm not that familiar with that particular Dylan album, but I'll look for it on YouTube. That's
Well,
my
you gotta listen to that now. There's Highway 69 Revisited is on there.
Highway 61. I'm very familiar with.
Highway 6. Yeah, well, um, it's on that album too. There's a lot of
Yeah,
really good stuff on there.
my favorite song from that. And uh, God said to Abe, "Kill me a son," and Moab said, "Oh, man, you must be putting me on." And God said, "No." And the next time you see me, you better be running down Highway 61.
Yeah.
that had a way of neutralizing some of the literalness of the Bible that I was exposed to when I was a child.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah,
Well, this is a really, fun series of lessons because it's all about changing our minds.
yeah,
And that was kind of what happened to us in our early, in our young adult stage of life. We were really blessed, all of us, to be born when we were and to go through the 60s as we were coming of age.
amen to that. Amen to that. I don't know how I would have made it otherwise.
yeah, we were so lucky to be here then and to change our minds.
Yeah. Such a blessing.
Yeah, such wonderful events that I can recall. Like, for example, one night, Christmas Eve, and and we decide we're out tripping, and we decide we're going to go to a Catholic church for to celebrate Jesus's birth. And so we get there just in time for the midnight mass, and there's a handful of people in this big church, and um, there, we're kind of in a party mood, right?
Is this in the order days or before it or what? Okay.
Before the order.
Okay.
Well, we were in the process of changing our minds, and these people were not.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
There was like there wasn't some. We were pretty joyful about the idea of Jesus' birth, but they were not about that. We didn't stay very long.
Why am I not surprised?
We were like Bob Dylan said, there must be some way out of here.
Yeah, I know that line.
Yeah, and that's what I said, the Joker to the thief.
Yeah.
There's too much confusion here. I just can't get no relief.
Relief, yeah. He was definitely drawing from the subconscious or the archetypal consciousness when he wrote some of those lines. It's like, where are they coming from?
So, and it's funny because we weren't really having attack thoughts. We were just not wanting to have attack thoughts. And we were feeling invulnerable. So we knew that we could just get up and leave.
Which was a much better choice than sitting there and getting critical of everything that was happening.
And it gives these examples of, what attack thoughts are like: pain, illness, loss, age, and death. And we might as well have been there on what's it called, the Saturday, or we might as well have been there on Good Friday because it felt the same, right?
That makes me laugh. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did not feel like we were at the mercy of a world we couldn't control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the things that was a slow lesson for me is, like, if I'm in a movie and I'm watching a movie and I really don't like the movie, is to hey, get up and walk out. But for years, what I would do is I would hang in there and feel uncomfortable, feel like I'm suffering, feel like it's painful. Yet I kept sitting there, and the reason I kept sitting there, I kept telling myself, "Well, it could get better. It all could make sense. It all could be," And I think then I look back on it, I think it's sort of symbolic of hanging in there with your suffering, because somehow you think there's going to be some reward at the end of this whole thing. Instead of saying, you really have a choice to experience something different here if you take the action.
Yeah, right. You can always just exit.
Yeah, yeah. Or choose again, is what the nice way the Course puts it.
Well, here's another really good example of how the world appears to be outside of your mind. And so when we talk about exiting the movie theater, when in reality, it's all in your mind and you don't have to go anywhere. You can just change your mind.
Exactly. It's realizing you have the power to change, and you can like choose again, or you don't have to keep yourself hanging in there because you think it's all going to get better if you just hang in there and keep with the suffering.
So you change, and if you're in a movie theater then you can leave the theater, but that
Yeah,
took a change of mind to realize that you could just get up and walk out.
yeah. Took
Yeah,
me a lot of years to ever do that, though.
it's like that wonderful expression: "It's none of my business what anybody thinks of me."
Yeah, my business.
So that's what, yeah, it's one of the things that keeps you in the theater or in wherever you are. That's um, like it's not exactly that it's bringing you down. It's that it's just not a good fit.
Yeah, particularly true. What you just said for remembering experiences like being in a lecture hall or being in some public event where you're really not liking it, and feeling that I need to keep there being there because it would really look bad if I got up and what would other people think?
Yeah, you feel like you're such a caretaker, right?
Yeah, yeah, or maybe conformist or something to the mass mind in that moment is important. The having the acceptance level, approval.
Yeah.
That
But not only that, some people feel like they have an investment in the situation they're in
hmm
and are hoping they can make it work and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they become a prisoner of the situation as they perceive it. It's always good to qualify it as they perceive it because they're first of all they're not a prisoner. If they perceived it differently, they'd realize they weren't a prisoner. And maybe there's ego rules, about how you're supposed to behave in whatever that situation is you're talking about. But that's all they are. They're just the ego's rules. And meanwhile, you're denying your own identity by subjecting yourself to
Well,
Well,
but somehow there's the feeling that, okay, I made this, I can fix it.
that. Right. Uh, yeah, but so in the first place, you've made something real that doesn't really exist. I mean, if you just made it, you know damn well it doesn't really exist. You can change it
Yeah.
because you made it. Above all else, I want to see. So that's the next one. That's what we're talking about. The world I see attests to the fearful nature of the self image I've made. So, why would you want to live your life in fear? Well, we do, don't we? Every time we try to conform to some external rule, it's not really external, it's in our minds, and we do have the freedom to change it. But first, we have to realize that we even have a mind. I mean, of course, says that we don't even know we have a mind. Well, yeah, that's right, because we're perceiving a world that dictates to us how we're supposed to behave and tells us what we are. And so we're constantly at the effect of something that we just made up and we don't even realize it.
yeah.
So we have to, it's essential, as it says, that I let this image of myself go, or my God, I'm going to miss out on my whole life.
My close friend, Sue. I didn't want to mention the name because it might sound like criticism, but her whole modus vivendi would be she'd be bothered by something, and then she would keep going around and telling the same story from person to person to person to person to person, and it was like she was both trying to get clarity about how she should feel and what she would do at the same time, seeking validation for her own approach. And the reason that I'm sharing it is that we sometimes get so caught up in wanting to get external validation that we miss that what we really need to do is go inside, feel like we're going inside and connecting with something real inside ourselves to see how this, to get some guidance about how things go. So it's always looking external. What it's making the external world real, and always looking for validation in from external people and authorities to give yourself permission to do what you want to do.
Well, from the moment that we show up here, right, people are looking at this little body and oohing and ahhing about it. And that's the whole thing. So we're trained from day one that we're supposed to be this little self that, and we're also supposed to, as we get older, we're supposed to learn to talk and do all these things and make up a self to fit into this world, which is really kind of a product of the world that we see outside. So that's, but secretly, we know that we just made it up. But if we really, buy into this idea that that's what we're here to do, then we will inevitably keep seeking external validation because we secretly know that it's not real.
Yes.
But it's the only quote reality that we know. And
Yeah.
even though we secretly know it's not real because we made it up, but
But we forget that we made it up, and because we keep reinforcing the circuits that says what's real is outside of myself.
well, that's why we forget, because we keep reinforcing this.
There is in dealing with these situations that we're talking about that we've created, there is an interesting quote attributed to Einstein, which says that we can't fix our problems and situations with the same kind of thinking that we created them.
Yeah. Right. That's what's called, why we have to go through what's called transformation.
Yeah.
And that can't happen on the level, the level of form that we're on. It can't, the cause of that is on the next level up, which is the mind. We had to change our minds.
Yes.
Above all else, I want to see differently. And now, again, it's introducing the idea that we have the ability to look past the world and find the love of God, which is our source. So the Course says that God extended himself and created us. That we're an extension of God, hence the Son of God. And all the power that God has, we have. That's what it means to, quote, be made in his image. And that's not, an old man with a white beard.
The old anthropomorphic image.
Although, if you look at us, it might seem like that. But that's just an appearance.
I just want to say I'm really 27, but I dye my hair and my beard white so people give me gravitas. I just needed to say that.
That's right. So, God's in everything I see. Behind every image I've made, the truth remains unchanged. Well, that's a pretty cool idea. It's tempting. I've tried everything else. I've tried to make the world real over and over and over and over again, and it's never been a very satisfying result. So maybe I should try this. What have I got to lose?
Well, the thing is, I've tried to recreate myself over and over again, but it was trying to recreate myself to fit into the external images of the behavior I'm supposed to manifest in some role.
As Michael says, you're trying to change it at the level where the problem is, right?
Yeah, or I like what you said. You're trying to change it on the level of form,
Yeah,
and if you're just trying to change behavior from the level of form, you're never going to be able to do it.
right. And wow, what an amazing experience this is when you do get in touch with the mind of God within you, and you start seeing God everywhere and in everything.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what we need to go for.
let's see, what's that song going? It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Oh, the happiness song?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
that's how it starts. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Yeah, he's seeing God in everything.
Yeah, you got to get up and dance when you do that one.
Because God is in my mind. And that's the experience of anybody who decides they've had enough suffering and they want to go past the suffering. And for, I think for the actual experience of doing that, it's an inside job. And we learn that we have to suffer. We have to go through the suffering instead of trying to push it away, put it onto somebody else, or blame something in the world or whatever. We just have to go through the experience. We have to just surrender to the experience.
Yeah.
Once we do that, we find that the experience itself is empty, and that beyond that experience there is the love of God, because that's who we really are. It's as simple as that. So you go through the dark night of the soul. You don't resist it. You just surrender to it. Have the experience. And don't run away. Don't freak out. And the next thing you know, it's gone. Yeah. And look what takes its place. And it's not like it came from somewhere else. It was there all along, because it's your true nature.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
I just it came to me. I think it's an important distinction to make between choosing suffering by doing the same thing over and over again, and having the discernment to realize that in some uncomfortable situations you need to stay in it because you're going to the next step of realizing the nature of the mind, the nature of God, who you really are. So sometimes if we're focused on going past the forms, we need to stay in our uncomfortableness so it can change. just like staying in an uncomfortable yoga posture, and we realize that the whole thing can change. But that's different than choosing your suffering because you believe in the hope that the external world is going to change to make you happy. There's a difference. Um, am I making sense?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was just thinking also about the Buddhist approach where uh, they say there's no self. And they're talking about the self that we made up.
Mm,
And it becomes really clear the more you look at it that that's true. And then they say, well, um, mind is all mind is all the thoughts that are in your that you're experiencing in your mind. That mind is thought. That's all it is. And so, in that sense, mind does not exist either. Um, it because it's just like your false self. It arises from causes and conditions. So, what's left? Well, it seems like emptiness, but what? There's something about that emptiness. It's alive. It's vibrating with life, and in different traditions may go by different names. Uh, in the tradition I studied, it was called Dharmakaya. That's what we call capital S self. It's not material, not material. Um, but the course, it uses the term mind differently. But this mind is very much like the way Dharmakaya is expressed, and it's beyond the mind um, that we normally experience here, quote, normally experience, um, which is just thoughts. That mind is part of the false self, and it falls away. And what do we have left? Well, we have peace, we have love, joy, and it just bubbles up from within, from this, um, you know, eternal flowing fountain of love, our true nature.
yeah. No, that's beautiful, and I'm trying to integrate this with. Um, okay, so basically, if my thought is saying that this is horrible, I'm suffering, um, then you can but you can realize that it's just a thought.
Yeah,
I don't have to give that thought life,
right.
but I don't have to suppress it. I don't have to run away. I don't have to do anything. But I guess what I was trying to discriminate between running, either suppressing something or running away from it,
Uh-huh.
or being being with it, even though it's a little uncomfortable for because it's going to pass. It's unreal in some sense. It only has a reality if I believe it has that reality in that moment.
Yeah, so you get to, the way it happens is, you're feeling depressed, and you don't want to feel depressed, so you're just tired of that. Uh,
Hmm.
and so you start to notice that whenever I think these thoughts, X, Y, Z, I start to feel depressed. So you realize there's a relationship between your feelings and your thoughts.
Yes.
And so once you notice that these particular thoughts are causing you to feel this particular way, then you think, well, I'll just stop thinking those thoughts. Well, you can withdraw your attention from those thoughts. You can just let them go. You don't have to give life to them. You can just And this is where the Buddhist kind of meditation comes in. You learn to put your attention on an object, in this case, your thoughts. And once you've learned to do that, that you can actually place your attention wherever you want to. You put your attention on those thoughts, you see, well, I feel depressed. So you take your attention away from those thoughts, right?
Or
And the more you take your attention away from them, the less power they have, because you've been giving them all the life that they have through your attention. You take it away, and then you look for something else that you like better to put your attention on. Might be peace, because once you shut that off, you know, you can have whatever you want. And that's the beginning of realizing that you do have some power in the situation.
yeah, it's like the Western equivalent of witness consciousness. You're not trying to push anything away. You're not trying to stop anything. You're letting it flow, and you're being careful not to latch on it and to feed it with other thoughts, and that you really have the power not to choose not to add more fuel to the fire of those thoughts, and just keep going down that rabbit hole
Yeah.
of chasing the darkness till you feel overwhelmed by it.
Most, if not all of us, have been taught to have all these negative judgments about ourselves.
Yeah, yeah,
Those thoughts, and so we start to notice, you know, those thoughts, and we decide, well, I don't want to give life to those thoughts anymore because they make me feel bad. They make me think that I don't exist, or that I'm limited, or that I'm no good and don't deserve to be here. All kinds of, you know, and that happens so much. I don't deserve to take part in the world because I'm such an awful person. I should just, you know, dig a hole and crawl in and die.
yeah. I'm not worthy of this gift. Oh, please don't give me anything because I'm not worthy enough to accept it. You know,
Yeah.
I know there's a whole thought conditioning that leads to suffering and depression if you buy into it.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, we don't have to do that.
Yes.
And the Course in Miracles is showing us a way out. And I think the next time that brass ring comes along, we should grab it.